Hi, it's Marissa from the Ambivalent Homeschooler, and this is the longer video really answering some questions I've had from single parents, particularly single working parents. So there'll be a little bit of a repeat in my introduction from those of you who are coming over from Instagram, but I want to say I hear you, single parents, or for maybe those of you who are partnered parents but feel, for all intents and purposes, like a single parent. I want to say I hear you. There are unique challenges you're facing in every educational decision you're making, whether it's the vulnerability of in-person learning that brings into your home if you fall sick and everything unravels, whether it's the difficulty of adequate online supervision for remote learning, or whether it's kind of feeling overwhelmed by what homeschooling might require of you. And whether you work inside or outside the home as a single parent, I do think homeschooling can provide you with actually more flexibility and more delight than the other options. And man, if we can find some joy in this hard year ahead, I think we got to seize it when we can. And so first, I want to encourage you to let go of a lot of the expectations and pressure that you may be carrying. I think this educational year will be kind of a loss no matter what we do. Our children are not going to meet the educational standards we've had for them in the past. The schools are not able to provide this, and we as parents are going to provide something completely different. So it won't meet those standards no matter what we do, and that's okay. It can be good enough, and in fact, it might even provide some unique opportunities that we really come to appreciate and enjoy. So I want to say the goal for you as you look at homeschooling is not to think, well, how can, in addition to everything else I'm carrying, how can I become a classroom teacher for my child? How can I take on a second job? That's not the goal. The goal really is to think, all right, given our specific situation, and that includes your childcare needs if you have young children, your the time needed to supervise your older children if you have them, the extended community you will be seeing or not seeing during this time, and what you feel like you as an adult can offer as far as focused instruction. And I want to free you that this could be minimal. Like, you may want to offer both of your off days to do educational things, but we both know that that wouldn't be sustainable and you'll just burn out. Like, what can you realistically offer while trying to maintain the restoration and care you need as an individual, while trying to maintain just the unstructured fun times as a family, and trying to balance the health of everyone in the middle of that mental and physical health. So I encourage you to be honest with yourself and answer that question and say, what can I genuinely offer time-wise and emotional energy-wise? What will my child be spending the rest of their day doing? And this is where comparing remote schooling and homeschooling, I think homeschooling quickly becomes a better alternative, in that for remote schooling, your child will be logging onto a screen and navigating that most of the day, if they're actually going to log on. I know with older children this last year, that was particularly a challenge. A lot of teenagers just were opting out or were doing other things online during class time. So homeschooling provides you with an option to say, you know what, we just name that for what it is, and we troubleshoot that in different ways. So for instance, perhaps you decide, like I said in the brief video, I can give a little bit of time in the morning before I leave for work, a little bit of time before bed, and maybe half of one of my off days. And that's where I'm going to think I'm intentionally educating in those moments. The rest of the time, you are going to plan for relaxed education to be happening, because your ultimate goal this year is not, have we checked all these boxes? Your ultimate goal is, has my child learned? Have they been in an environment that's cultivated curiosity, delight, and their own well-being? Those are your goals. So you're going to kind of run everything through that filter. So you have your time slots, and then you look at the broader picture and you say, well, my child's in daycare the rest of the day, the rest of the time. All right, well, thankfully, they're going to get socialization. A lot of kids won't this year outside their family. So be thankful for that, and look at the little blocks you have and let the rest go. Maybe they're home with a relative or an older sibling, and you say, okay, well, in those slots, I'm not going to hand off a lot of intense homeschooling material, but I am going to put, art supplies, science kit, maybe a microscope, scope, maybe a science experiment kit on hand, and I'm going to ask the sitter twice a week to do art and science projects. Maybe I'm going to, since if I'm hiring a sitter, I'm going to request that they research some arts and crafts, and I'll provide the supplies and they'll do it. Maybe grandma, who's babysitting, is great at knitting and cooking. Well, you're going to say, hey, would you mind teaching your grandchildren those skills while you're watching them this year, and they get more of a home economics elective. That's all wonderful. That's all educational. If you have older students, maybe you say, you know what, some portion of screen learning is inevitable, but I'm going to shut the devices off until 3 p.m. for video game time and all the other things. They're going to be locked off so that my teen is going to need to turn to some of the other educational resources I'm providing, whether that's a wide array of graphic novels, audiobooks, documentaries, kits or instruction that let them pursue vocational things. I think in the home, it's easy to say, oh, well, have they always wanted to, do they watch the Great British Baking Show and want to do that? Well, provide them, let them do some baking. Have they always wanted to learn graphic design or how to mix music? Okay, well, they can do that on their screens. Have they always wanted to, begin to cartoon or watercolor, things like that? Provide them with those things. Figure out their delight-led learning. Do they want to learn auto mechanics? Well, YouTube videos plus maybe an old beat-up car, and they can begin to learn some of that. Really think outside the box and say, okay, if I'm comparing my teen being online all day, every day, isolated at home versus them working on a car in the driveway, baking, painting. I mean, these are all going to be more nourishing and contribute to their well-being, even if they don't check traditional educational boxes. And then you can save some of those traditional boxes for when you're around to supervise, both with younger and older children. So maybe you supervise them. You've decided daily math is important, and I commend that. Math is a hard one to kind of be pretty boundaryless with, but they're going to do that in the morning before you leave from work. And you're going to check in with them on your off day and see if there's any concepts you really need to explain. Or maybe you've decided Khan Academy is the way to go for math, and they're going to do that while you throw dinner together after work, and you're going to be available in case they need your feedback. And you're going to move the pieces around in a way that serves you. That's really the goal. And when you change the filter from meeting someone else's expectations, whether that's the standardized school yearly goals or whether that's a remote teacher's expectations, and instead you're putting in your expectation, which is well-being of your child, stability of your home, your own sanity, and broad educational goals. You determine what broad buckets do you want to fill: science, math, reading, history, these broad buckets, and many of them can be filled with a wide variety of quality books from the library, audiobooks for children who maybe aren't going to read through them on their own, quality documentaries for science. They're amazing wildlife and scientific documentaries that are phenomenal for learning, not just checking out in front of the TV. And then the tangible things you're going to incorporate as you can. I think that's good enough. That's what you're looking for. And the opportunities may be that your child finds something that becomes a lifelong passion for them. Maybe they are empowered in a new way to say, I can be a lifelong learner. Learning isn't just about what the assignments are I receive from my teacher. It really is about what I'm interested in knowing about. And there may be if you've been in traditional school for many years, there may be a detox period where you hear a lot about how bored they are. There's some initial conflict. But if you Google about I think the term that's now being used for it is deschooling. If you look to that, it does fade away, provided there are opportunities around that cultivate curiosity and learning. Your child's not the one child who has no curiosity in them. They do. Sometimes it's just been buried, or sometimes it's even been kind of dampened down by challenges in the classroom model. So release them, and you may be surprised, and give yourself permission and give them permission to get outside the box a little bit. So if you've decided what your bare minimum for math is, that's fine. Let the rest go. If you've decided what your bare minimum for history social studies is, that's fine. It's okay if all the other reading they're doing are novels. That's still good. Maybe try and throw a few historical novels in there, but be okay with that. They're reading. Yay. So I just want to release you from some of that pressure that homeschooling has to look like you doing a lot, you becoming a teacher. It doesn't. It looks like you providing an environment that will help your child learn. So your child care factors, unschooling, I think in this video I mentioned unschooling might be a great option. I'm not an expert on unschooling. I encourage you to research that, but it even more kind of does away with even some of those general buckets I was talking about and just says, what are the broad boundaries we give to kind of help steer children toward educational choices, but beyond that, we kind of let them steer. So that may be a great fit for your family. So all that to say, I really do believe this is a viable option for you if you want it. Well, it won't be easy. It won't be easy for any of us, no matter our parenting situation, whether we're single parents, whether we're partnered parents, whether we're married parents, whether we're widowed parents, or some other combination of those things. It will be challenging. It will present new challenges. But I do believe a superpower you have as a single working parent is you have had to figure out how to overcome and work through challenges that other parents maybe have more help with or can team up to do. Like you've had to do that in many areas to say, it's just me. So what do I have to say no to? What can I say yes to? What do I outsource? What hacks do I need to do? You already do that in many areas. So in some ways you can apply that in this situation more effectively and maybe quickly get at a plan that works for your family. The only other small thing I would say is as you're looking at your plans, make sure to plan in a little bit of time where you can give attention to what is and what isn't working. So say you come up with your general plan, maybe once a week, give yourself 20 to 30 minutes to think what is and isn't working. Like, oh, it's not working with my teen. They need more supervision. Or, oh, you know what? Science experiments are stressing grandma out, so I need to move that somewhere else. That sort of thing. And you'll be able to adjust and make your plans serve you and your family. And you may come to really enjoy that component for sure, because you're in the driver's seat versus trying to be on the treadmill, meeting someone else's expectations. I hope this was a help to you at some level. If I can help in other ways, I'd love to offer you personalized encouragement and consultation. You can book an appointment with me or shoot me an email with some questions, and I'd love to try and answer them. Otherwise, best of luck to you this year. I want to say it again. I absolutely believe you have what it takes. I think you are hardwired to educate your child. They're hardwired to receive from you. You've done this in so many areas already. We can be intimidated by doing it in the academic world, but I think you can. I want to empower you.